You're listening to the Greening Out podcast. This show contains profanity, hate for the state, and themes of a libertarian nature. If you are easily offended, please listen to something else. For more, visit greeningoutpodcast.co.uk. Hi, I'm Caity Green.
Hi, I'm Dan Green, and welcome back to the Greening Out podcast.
Welcome back to the Greening Out podcast. Now, we have to address an issue.
Yes.
We've been away for a couple of weeks, as if
Mm-hmm.
any of you noticed. Because
wait, don't you talk about our loyal fan base in
I
such
am
terms?
so sorry. Those 5 people must be distraught. Right. No, we fell out with our audio equipment. We had a disagreement with the mixer. And then we fell out with Audacity and Audacity Wiki. So,
Can I just confirm that
Well.
Caity believes that all 5 people that are listening to Greening Out are very open-minded, and intelligent, and interesting folks?
yes, of course, obviously. It goes without saying. I was making if we're going to point it out, I was making a nod towards the fact that we are still on our way.
Absolutely.
We're still
getting
going.
there.
And getting there. But yeah, we totally fell out with our equipment. But we're back on speaking terms. We've been playing about with the knobs on the we've been tinkering.
I'm expressly forbidden to do that.
We've been tinkering with the knobs on our sound machine, and it's sounding really good.
The sound machine. Now,
Ooh,
now everyone's
machine.
getting an insight into why we were having technical problems, probably because of calling it the sound machine for a
The
start.
sound machine.
Well, I'm sorry, get angry away from the microphone.
Yeah, you get angry away from be angry down the middle of the table. That was an Alan Partridge reference for any Alan Partridge fans.
Yes. So, well, speaking of comedy then, well, I think the first thing we wanted to address on this show is of a complete importance,
Yeah.
and that is the Monster Raving Loony Party.
Obviously. I was not aware of the official Monster Raving Loony Party.
Well, you kind of heard of them, but you kind of
Yeah,
weren't
I
that
heard of
bothered
them
about
as a joke. I thought it was I thought these people were seriously running on some kind of platform. I didn't
They
realize.
are serious. What are you talking about?
Shut
Right?
up.
For anyone that doesn't know, they're like a party, and they're an actual political party formed in 1983 in the UK, and they do
Yeah.
run for elections, but they're all mental in
Yeah.
the way that it's basically one huge satirization of politics, but they actually stand candidates. And I've been looking through their old manifestos. I mean, some of it is just solid gold.
It's hilarious. It's political satire at its best. Dan, do you want to take us through maybe a few?
I will, but
bullet
see, before we
points?
start, I just want to mention what's kind of interesting when I looked into it is
Oh yeah,
the guy that founded it is a guy called David Edward Sutch, or as his stage name was, Screaming Lord Sutch.
I love that.
And he was a rock star.
Yeah.
Played with a band called the Savages and stuff. And he actually played, he was a singer, and he worked with some big names at the time, because this
Yeah,
is
he
in
did.
he was big in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked with Keith Moon, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Richie Blackmore, Charlie Watts, Nicky Hopkins. So he
Yeah.
worked with a lot of big names at the time, you know what I mean? He doesn't get much bigger than Jimmy Page and Keith Moon,
Yeah.
people like this, you know what I mean? So yeah, but what was interesting, and I didn't really know about this guy at all, he was known for his horror themed stage show, and he used to dress as Jack the Ripper.
We were
right?
were talking about this earlier.
And see, all of that predates the stuff Alice Cooper did.
Yeah.
So it's like he sort of did this thing first.
It's interesting. What year did you say that was?
Well, he was active in the 60s as a singer. It just says when he started it predated. His
See, I think
first
it's-
album came out. Oh no, sorry, my mistake. 70s.
Was it the 70s?
Aye, yep. Oh no, he actually, he released no, I was right, 60s.
Okay.
He released records from 1961 onwards.
Right. Because it's just interesting because if you look at for example, the picture that we used for this podcast that we're planning on using.
That is him.
It's him, but it's so kind of punk rock. And
Aye,
it's
very
just,
cool.
it's pretty awesome.
I'm going to need to hear them at some point.
Yeah, maybe
But
at some point.
Anyway, he also holds the record, right? Because
Oh yeah.
he lost all 40 elections that he stood in.
Well done, sir.
So apparently that's a record. And he kept running for office. But anyway, he founded the Monster Raving Loony Party. And
Their tagline is "Vote for insanity."
Yeah.
I love that.
That's what you're, because that's what you're doing when you vote for any political party. You know?
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
And
expecting the same results.
Yeah, Einstein.
Ah, yes.
Okay, so.
I'm extra smart today.
Heritage Fund. Right,
Okay.
I'm going into their policy proposals now.
Sure.
Okay, so Heritage Fund. We will reduce the national debt by selling the castles back to the French. Brackets, buyer dismantles. There's some, like, this is kind of the newer stuff, but some of it's quite, some of it's quite short, but there's like, the other ones are bigger, like, some of these are like unicorns and free travel. We propose to make unicorns a protected species. And then there's a question mark. It says, it is proposed to introduce free travel on trams and buses for musicians as they bring joy into people's lives. Obviously.
It's quite that's quite socialist though. It's like, your tax money should pay for musicians to travel free. Boo.
Boo. Don't be socialist.
For anybody who doesn't know, this is a libertarian show.
Yeah, it's a libertarian show.
For anybody that doesn't know.
Sorry.
I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. Probably waiting for us to start talking about environmental stuff.
Anyway, the food safety policy, right?
Okay, go.
All food sold in fast food establishments should be clearly marked, may contain traces of real food.
Why?
All vegetables sold in supermarkets should be clearly marked, strictly for oral use only.
Yeah, on that note,
About
I should try and compile a list of things found in people in hospitals, because I'm sure that veg
I think I have such a list.
Do you have a list?
I do have a list. I just have a list on me.
At all times.
Just in case somebody asks me that
in this
question.
house.
Who was the, unless it's a wee tangent, but there was a story one time about a magician, and I can't remember his name, right, but this is like way back, and he used to go to parties, right, and he did this thing where he made a chicken appear, right, and apparently, I think it was a chicken, it was something like that. It wasn't like a rabbit, it was like something else, but apparently he used to strap an animal anyway to himself.
Just in case.
Well, if he went to parties, right? But see, the thing was, he never actually would offer, like, do you want to see a trick? So if nobody asked to see a trick, then he would have, I can't remember what animal it was, but he'd have like an animal strapped to him the whole night.
That's good.
Which is kind of weird, but right.
That is incredibly weird. Do you have a list of things found inside of people?
I do. Oh, this is, there's a few of them. Oh my god.
It's pretty weird stuff. I don't really know why we're actually
There's actually a picture
about
with this, but it's an X-ray, right? Man tries to fish out vibrator with salad tongs. Is unsuccessful, and he's like got a vibrator up there and salad tongs.
How are the salad tongs completely immersed?
Pretty much. Well, not completely. I mean, the handle are about halfway in. I mean, you'll be able to see this for yourself.
Oh,
someone had an entire
to.
cutlery set.
Obviously, because if you start with one, you have to have them all.
7-inch body spray found up lawyer's rectum.
Don't really want to talk about it.
No.
I don't really want to look at these anymore.
No,
these are pretty bleak.
I think we have to get back to Monster Raving Loony Party.
I think we have to go back to the official Monster Raving Loony Party.
Do you need to say the official, like, is that like...
Well...
Is there another one? But no I'm wondering why they say the official one, because I'm wondering if there's like an unofficial one who are
I don't know if... Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. Like, maybe they're just taking the mick out of the fact that all politics is crap and the official something doesn't really mean that much.
Well, then that begs the question about these guys, right? Because are they, like, is it a mixture? I think it's probably a mixture, right? I think some people are just in it because it's fun. And I think some people are a bit mental. And then I think some people are in it for the satirization. I bet there's intelligent people
who just... to think that they're just intelligent and they're just they're showing the complete nonsense of politics. But I do worry that there might be some sort of young student hipster types that be like, yeah, it's fashionable.
Has this ever been fashionable? Because I'm looking at pictures of these guys and it does not look fashionable.
I'm going to shove it to the establishment by joining this party. It's like, no. But
what is good about, but they are showing that politics is just,
I agree with that
ludicrous,
part.
You know,
it is ridiculous.
And the satirization's hilarious, and the fact that they go all the trouble to stand candidates.
That's how, it does cost money. It costs money to run it. It costs money to do any kind of campaign like that. So fair play to them. They're taking the satire incredibly seriously. Well done.
Yeah, but then if you don't get so many votes when you stand for an election, if you don't get a certain number, then you lose the deposit you paid.
So
that's something they say about someone who's been badly beaten. They go, oh, he lost his deposit.
They'll probably be losing money. I don't imagine they make much money.
Well, you can donate. I'm going to be donating.
Are you?
Of course.
Good for you.
Good for you.
So the Monster Raving Loony Party is pretty cool. I'm going to link it up in the show notes.
Sometimes they sound like, it's funny because sometimes they sound a bit libertarian-y. I'll get to some of them later, but sometimes they sound a bit weird and socialist-y.
Well, just a bit left.
Or like, well, see, this actually sounds a bit libertarian-y in a kind of, if you know what I mean, like, say if you're a libertarian and you're describing how governmental parties work, right? This is one, right? Health and safety. We propose to ban self-responsibility on the grounds that it may be dangerous to your health. But with like left-leaning governments and the governments we've kind of got, that's what's like happening.
But it is because it's like, you can't be trusted to pack your child's lunch, so we're going to have to check them. Now. Yeah, we're going to have to check them because you, as an adult, who has had a child, children. It's your child, you cannot be trusted to pack them what we take to be a healthy lunch. And obviously, I'm not talking. I'm saying if parents are packing their children 3 packets of crisps and 2 chocolate bars every day, I'm saying that might be, that's not really on.
But then that's
none of my business.
It's not the state. It's not the state's business to interfere.
If you're worried that child is being treated badly at home, and that's part of it.
That's a different matter, right?
That is, I know it is, but
that's a different discussion.
There's no need to bring in a bill or a legislation that says you have to do something.
Yeah, for kids' lunches and stuff. I mean, that's ludicrous.
It's basically saying, look, we're going to make this bit of paper law, this rule now. So now you have to do it. We don't want to bother trying to get you to think for yourself or educate yourself enough to know that that's probably the right thing to do. We're going to pass a law. So if you don't do it, we don't really care how you do it. Just don't break the law and we won't come get you.
Well, does
that make sense to you?
It does, yeah. I mean, we've even talked about like the smoking ban and stuff like that, and how that's a violation of property rights and stuff. Because we were talking about that before, and it's all this other stuff. Like
I agree with you that it's a violation of property rights, but it doesn't bother me. Like I was a smoker at the time when that came into effect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was having something taken away from me. Because I always felt kind of awkward imposing my smoke in a crowded room anyway.
But then surely it should be, it's the point of choice. It should be up to the person that owns the establishment whether they have like completely no smoking, completely smoking, or even half and half.
I'm just saying sometimes, you are forced to go to a place that you might not normally go, maybe for like a family do or something. And I'm just saying, like, I was one of those people, I didn't really like smoking in pubs that much. Because I felt like I was sort of imposing on someone else's property. Like, they would be like, oh, I'm coughing. And like, obviously I wasn't a dick about it. I didn't go up and blow smoke in their face. But, it's a crowded room and it does get a little bit difficult. So when it came into effect, I wasn't really bothered. But I agree with you on the stance of property rights. It is a violation to tell an owner of an establishment that they're not allowed to do something or allow something.
Yeah, what he can and can't do in his own property. It just seems silly to me. But like, it's the same thing, It's this whole, what I mean is, and then they're talking about fat taxes and stuff like this, and taxing fattier foods higher, and then they already tax the share of alcohol and stuff. But it's all this stuff like, okay, you're not intelligent enough to figure out what you can put in your own body.
So now we're going to punish you.
But it's like, we're going to make that easy for you. We're going to tell you, and then we're going to ban things that we don't think are good for you. Yeah. But we'll let you have some things, but we'll make you pay more on some things so you can't afford as many of them. Yeah. And all this kind of shit.
When in reality, we know that when you have an addiction to something like gambling or alcohol or nicotine or even some black market things, you're going to find a way to get it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
We always talk about how prohibition doesn't help anything.
And it never does.
Never.
And that's just the point. Sorry, the dog's lying on me and he went a bit crazy there.
He went a little bit weird there.
He's mental. But like...
it was his birthday yesterday, so he's incredibly hungover.
Yes, he is. You'll have the SSPC up here thinking that we're getting the dog hammered.
No, we buy him doggy milk. It's like goat's milk.
Yeah, he actually enjoys that.
He loves it.
He loves it. But like, so anyway, what you just heard was the libertarian portion of the programme.
Yes.
And now
back to weird stuff.
Weird stuff will comprise most of the show. Okay, so this is kind of interesting, right? Okay, I'll say the stupid one and then the two interesting ones.
Okay, go.
So the daft one is, we will ban all forms of greyhound racing. This will help stop the country going to the dogs. Just because you were talking about dogs and stuff.
That's funny.
So that's what I thought. Right, so these are the two kind of serious ones, but this is kind of funny. So, immigration and population, right? And it says, I propose that we cap the population of this country. We have too many people for such a small country, so we'll cap the number of people residing here at present rates, approximately 63 million, give or take 10 mil, on the basis of 1 out, 1 in, excluding births. Right? And then it says, regarding immigration, any person who can prove that they or their descendants emigrated to the UK before 55 AD can stay.
Right.
All the others will be repatriated to the original country. And then it says, well, we have to draw the line somewhere.
Quite right. That's quite funny.
It is, because it's like taking the piss out of the whole...
Totally takes the piss.
There is another one that's kind of interesting, right? And it says, Afghanistan, Iraq and the war on terror. There's nothing funny about this. However, as we have not found any Taliban terrorists in Derbyshire, our soldiers can all come home now.
Fair dues.
It's like, there's like, they keep trying to create this homegrown terror hype. Like...
It's actually, it has ramped up a lot in Scotland the last month or so, and I've even seen it out on the streets. There's a far more police presence, bigger police presence now.
But see, what I was noticing as well, it's like, there was, like, they talked about a lot of these people from East London, or somewhere in London, had like an ISIS flag and stuff like that, and there was people handing out leaflets, and then people were going from London to join, you know what I mean? And it's funny because like there's a cartoon in the British satirical political magazine Private Eye.
Oh yes.
I think it was from a few issues ago, and it was like an RAF bomber heading there, and like it was basically saying, this is a long way to go to bomb some guys from London. It's like heading to like Iraq.
No, I read a lot about that as well. Especially in that there's a newspaper we get free on the bus, the Metro.
So you know it's good.
So you know it's good.
You know it's quality journalism.
It's
free on the bus and the train.
So yeah, I read this paper because I take the bus to work, and I've been reading a lot about how there's quite a few, well, not quite a few. I think 1 or 2 women from Glasgow. I'm trying to remember. I have to find the link. I will need to link it up. A young woman apparently went to join the battle.
The battle, yeah.
The battle.
To join the cause.
To join IS or whatever they're called.
Aye, whatever
they're known as now.
This week.
This week, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, we don't actually.
All right.
Okay, right. So, I can't go over this manifesto because it's.
He really
funny,
can't.
It's like, it's my favourite thing to do now.
Looking over the Monster Raving Loony Party's manifesto.
Some things sound kind of libertarian-y. I know they're not libertarians, right?
I know.
And if they weren't be good, but it's just funny because, like, as a libertarian reading their manifesto, one of the ones that says, we will solve the problem of overcrowding in prisons by releasing all the innocent prisoners. Now, I just see when I hear that, I don't know what they're thinking, but I automatically think of, like, everyone who's in for drug charges.
Yeah, like, if you decriminalized, and by the way, every day, more and more, the more I read about the taxation of legal marijuana, the more I'd go further and further away from legalization, and, sort of, I would love the decriminalization of it.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's the thing that needs to happen, but not just that, like all drugs.
Because if they legalize it, they'll just tax the shit out of it. And
when you legalize something, like, I really am
your
of
slave
that
master
opinion.
allows you to use that, and they will take a cut of all that you use.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's the part I don't like.
Exactly.
Wait, but in, for example, Amsterdam, it's decriminalized, so.
Well, exactly.
Anyway,
that's it's funny as well in this one. By the way, I'm reading further in case you're playing along at home. Yes. I'm playing. This is the Monster Raving Loony Party's 1997 general election manifesto that I'm.
In case you have that lying around in front of you, as most people do.
Well, who doesn't? I mean,
is this
not your homepage?
On a Tuesday, like just
is this not everyone's homepage?
Obviously.
Youth. Actually, we don't want to have any policies on youth. We think they're probably better off without politicians interfering with them.
That's quite clever.
I like that.
I like that too.
And they're constantly laying into politicians, which like shows me that this is what they think is hilarious. Like, they think that politics is just a nonsense because, like,
yeah.
I mean, for example, the social chapter of this, right? They say the social policies of the European Union won't go far enough. We promise a 20-hour working week in the new decimal time. A minimum wage fixed at 100% of MPs' salaries.
I love that.
Maternity and paternity leave for pets.
Well, yeah, in the US office, Angela refers to you have to bring back, what was it? Something leave? Cat leave?
Cat leave.
You have to bring back
it was like something like that, like
pet
wasn't
leave
it?
or something. And it was supposed to be like, if someone has time off because they've had a baby, like I should get time off because I have a new kitten or something, or a new cat. I just thought it was quite clever. I know that when our beloved shuffles off this more mortal coil, I probably won't be able to get out of bed for a few days. So that's going to be like, some time off. So I think I should get pet bereavement, but whatever, I'm not going to go there. It's dark.
It's dark.
It's dark, man.
I'm going to lighten up with more Monster Raving Loony Party.
Let's just lighten up with more Monster Raving Loony Party.
You know what's weird, right? See, in this they've got the constitutional reform, right? And it's a lot of kind of nonsense, do you know what I mean? It's just like...
Yeah, I know.
Silly things, right? But then there's just one bit on its own, like there's things saying like, and votes for pets, right? That are daft. But then it's got a thing on its own that says, we will introduce votes at 16. Well, that's what they did for the Scottish independence referendum, and it was actually wildly quite successful, and now there's like pressure basically to make it that way in Scotland for other elections. People can vote at 16 and over. I had kind of mixed feelings about it, but that's just because I was mental at 16, but not everyone is, but I was, but like, that's assuming that everyone's like me. I
kind of don't really, it's not that I don't agree with it, it's just that I don't think it's particularly right. The thing I imagine what would happen is, I don't know what everybody else's parents are like, but for the most part, I think, for example, if I'd done it at 16, it probably just would have ended up being my parents' view that I ended up voting for.
I think that did happen a lot, though.
And I wouldn't have understood the ramifications, the consequences of said vote.
Well, yeah, I think that, yeah.
So that, I think, is dangerous. Because it's great when you have the youth on the side that you're on being able to vote. It's quite different when you have the youth of the side that you're not so much a fan of on the other side. If you're a statist, if you're not, if you're a libertarian, you probably don't care.
Some libertarians are statists. Some libertarians are just really small statists.
Okay, well, yeah, but I mean, no, you're right. Some people are minarchists, complete anarchists.
Yeah. And we are complete anarchists.
I don't like saying it though. I just say it sound like a kind of a douchey thing. I'm a complete anarchist. But I don't like making like a statement of I am something, because I just don't,
This is just what they've basically it's just basically what they've, say like, it's what they've reduced the word anarchist to.
I know.
It's a really loaded term now.
I know. Because it is loaded. I come across some people that don't like the term, like anarcho-capitalist, because they're like, oh, you can't use anarcho because what you're referring to is capitalism, it's not anarchy. But,
because of they think that like capitalism is generally hierarchical and things like that.
And therefore it cannot be anarchy, but they're misunderstanding the meaning of the word anarchy.
I would agree. It just means
it bothers me. Yeah. It it doesn't mean that there's no order, there's no rules. I mean,
there'll have to be rules, man.
It just bothers me. Gotten a lot of grief about that. So
we'll just call yourself something else then.
I'll call myself Caitlin. I am a Caity.
Call yourself an abolitionist like Bill Buford does.
Yeah, I could. Yes.
Yeah, because when people say they're not, he says, "What form of slavery do you support?"
It is true.
Okay, so no, hold on. This is just, I just love this. They've actually done that. See the fast food restaurants to having to label it as real food. That's been a recurring theme for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people in more professional shows probably would have sat and looked through these and picked things out before.
Uh-huh.
But that's not how we roll here.
It is not.
Right, here we go. This is from 1987.
Okay.
Right? The Monster Raving Loony Party think that we should turn the whole country into a fun park, creating 8 million jobs.
The whole country into a fun park.
Ex-politicians would be employed as waiters, so people could throw bread rolls at them.
Bread rolls.
But this again is back to one of the sort of like, taking the piss out of politicians sort of stuff, you know.
I really do like how satirical it is. It is quite clever.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's just, I could read this for ages, the kind of stuff that I could like sit and read it. But there was something else we wanted to talk about, so we will come back to the Monster Raving Loony Party.
Don't worry, folks, we will come back to it.
Because Ebola is going to be cured.
Ebola, is that still a thing?
Yep, and it's going to be cured because, you know why? Because Bob
they
Geldof,
sang a song.
right,
and One Direction
has recorded the same shitty song that you recorded in the 80s. the one that cured all the poverty in Africa.
Yeah, that
song.
one.
Yeah.
That one.
He's recorded that to cure Ebola.
It was on the radio and work today.
The new one or the old one?
The new one.
Isn't it great though? It's like, I mean, what? No, I mean.
Oh dear, that was an ugly side to you.
No, I do hate that.
I know.
It's a bad joke.
No. It's funny. I could hear it on the radio and work today. It was just awful. It was really, really bad. It was nearly as painful as it was the first time I ever heard the original, because I didn't understand it, and they were like, "Feed the world," and people are really poor.
Right, let me just make a point. I don't think charity. There's anything wrong with that.
No,
but like,
of course not.
I just have questions about this and why they can't write a new song. I'm more annoyed that they didn't write a new song, to be honest.
Dan's just offended by this.
No, really, see if they'd have written a new song, I'd probably be on board now. It's really the
yeah,
song
I know,
thing.
because you are a big campaigner for charities. I know that you really are a fan, so are you
talking directly to Bob Geldof now?
I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you, so
it just sounded like you were like Mr. Geldof.
I would like to address Mr. Geldof by name.
As I know he listens to this podcast constantly.
He's that one guy in Ireland who's listening. I don't think he lives there. No. Anyway,
he's more famous for swearing on television.
I know.
Than his band. A lot of people can't even name you the band he was in. It was the
Boomtown Rats. Yeah,
I didn't like them either.
I didn't like them either.
I'm really sorry, but I've got to get this off my chest.
That's okay, Dan. That's all right. That's why we're here. We're here to help.
We're here to help. But yeah, it brings up this whole. I mean, I understand the idea that if you make charity cool, then you get more people on board.
Okay,
I mean, they even did it. Remember, they did the Live 8 thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't remember. I don't want to know how many years ago, because I'll start to feel kind of old. But like,
I know.
Yeah, but like, remember then, like, that's because I noticed like there was all the people wearing the bracelets and all that. Now I don't know exactly where all that money went, right? And I'm not going to pretend that I know. I'm not going to go, oh, it went here and there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it did make charity cool with young people, and understand that idea.
And maybe more money did go to the charity. I don't know, but there's one thing I will say though. I'm a really big now. I don't know, when I say this, I sound like a dick. I do, like when I say that it bothers me when that time kind of comes around where people make that Doug Stanhope bit, Dan, that we were talking about raising awareness.
Yeah.
But I'm going to link it up, obviously. It's a much longer skit, but part of it is when he just says about raising awareness is like standing at the top of a hill, looking down a hill, seeing somebody bleeding to death, and they're screaming, "Help me!" and you're just pointing at them, going, "Look, I'm raising awareness," which I can understand. Like, it is a frustrating thing. Just raising awareness. I don't know how much good it does. But I would never say anything bad about charity. So I want to make that clear. I just think the song's shit. Dan's issues.
I wish they
didn't
wrote
write
a new
one.
song.
Yeah,
you know, I just don't like it, man.
I don't know. I also think, it always makes me suspicious when somebody's been quiet for a really, really long time. Like someone like, not. In fact, I take that back, because Bono was in the news recently about that album on the new iTunes.
Are you talking about Bono now? Just to make sure.
No, but I'm just saying, like, the people involved But actually, I was good. No, I take my point back.
Her point has been taken back.
Yeah, my point's been taken back because I thought about it. It was one of those situations where my mouth is going too fast for my brain to catch up, and then my brain gets there and goes, that doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. I wish more people would apply that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, don't you though? You know, I can't tell you.
Right.
I am looking at this again.
And by this, he means he forgets that we're talking to machine. He doesn't realize that people cannot see us.
But the machine gives me love.
Oh dear. That was bleak. The hell, what the fuck was that?
No, I was reading the Monster Raving Loony Party's 2005 general election manifesto.
As you often do.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Where'd you see this, right? Any cabinet minister found telling lies will be shot across the English Channel in a high-velocity circus cannon to save time and first-class travel expenses. Top British engineers will be employed to plot the correct trajectory. A European-funded net will be set up to strategically in front of the European Parliament so that when the errant MP hits it, he or she will bounce through a second-floor window where they'll be handed champagne and a canapé at a reception hosted by Leon Britton and Peter Mandelson. See, that's right on. They're naming names now.
Yeah.
And you can just Google Leon Britton or Peter Mandelson, the Dark Lord.
Oh dear.
Scares the shit out of me.
Frightening.
He does.
I think it's funny, again, I'm going to say political satire. It's good. I like it.
Oh yeah, like just see what this makes me think of, right? I don't think I've really told you this, right? See, the other day in my work, there was a politician. I'm not saying where I work or anything. Right,
yeah,
it was.
Where you work.
There was a politician that came in, and I believe he's
in.
an MSP, as in a member of the Scottish Parliament.
Ah, yes.
Right? It's like he's a low level, he's not a big deal, right? And he came into our work for a visit, visiting the local businesses and all that.
Photo op.
Oh yeah, right. But he's got like 3 guys that follow him around, right? And he's no big deal. And these
What do you
guys,
mean, like 3? The 3 advisor people, right?
And he's not even like a big deal. And these wee guys follow him about like he's very low level. Do you think that's to
make sure that he doesn't say things he's not supposed to say, like, or just watch him?
I think they perform a number of tasks. Do you know what I mean? But
do you think, or do you think they're just like?
Well, maybe it's like, remember that show Veep, when she had the guy who just really carried her bag and got things out of her bag for her. He was
really, really, really good at that. He was funny. I'm gonna have to look.
He was in Arrested Development. I don't remember.
He was in Arrested Development, and he played. Oh my god.
Nah, you're not going to remember.
Can't really remember.
Don't challenge yourself.
No, I'm not going to. This is not what this is about. I'm not doing all the work, okay?
Of course not. Why would you?
I'll link up Arrested Development in the show notes because it's hilarious. But anyway.
It was good. Now, what was I saying there?
No, we were just talking about...
Yeah, the MP and his MSP, and his advisors that came in. Yeah. So I thought, like, see if this guy's got three wee dudes that follow him about, right?
Right.
Then... Like, who's somebody like the Prime Minister or even like Obama?
They have a posse, a posse of about, like, I don't know, 50 people. I don't know.
It's weird, man, because like,
they're bringing their family.
Why do they need these wee shadows? Their shadows got a shadow sort of thing.
But see, then...
And is one of those wee advisors the boss? Like, I think that's a valid question. Like,
I have no idea.
Is one of them the boss of the other two?
What do you mean?
like,
is there an inner thing going on?
Is there a head advisor? Like
is there something going on inside this advisory circle?
Is the MSP
is this
the boss,
advisory?
Right? And then there's a top advisor in the other two.
What are you implying?
No,
what are you saying is going on? What's really going on here?
But see, do you know what the thing is? See, one of those wee guys could end up being the first minister, cutting these weird deals with Rupert Murdoch.
Speaking of first ministers, can I just
you go ahead. I'm done ranting about advisors.
Right. No, but
I'm going to apply for the job.
What I will say about that, the advisors in your workplace, I hate it when they do that for photo ops, because you've told me about this a couple of years ago.
It happened before the politician from the other party came in. And it was the same crap, we guys following him about and stuff like that,
I hate it, and it's so blatant. It is so blatant whenever you see...
And it's like they were taking photos like while they were talking.
Yeah.
And it just felt so forced and weird. And
it is forced.
And he asked questions to people that, like, the guy didn't care about, like, to explain the mechanics of whatever it was to him, right? And he wasn't really, see, the politician, he wasn't really interested in, like, what he was doing anyway. It just felt all so fake and forced.
Yeah.
But see, the guy that came in the other day, man, he brought in chocolates, and I did not eat any of them.
In protest. Damn status chocolates.
I'll
eat any kind of chocolate, but moving on, I was going to say about the First Minister.
Yes, First Minister of Scotland.
It's now a woman, and her name is Nicola Sturgeon. I'm not a fan. I do not think this is going to do anything to... she keeps saying things that don't make sense. She keeps saying words that don't mean anything. She keeps saying things like... What was it, Dan? What was the one I said? Economic prosperity?
Or something like that.
Do you want to tell me what that means?
Well, economic prosperity,
that just means a good, growing economy, right?
Yeah, it's so vague, though.
That's what every country wants.
Yeah.
Why would you not want that?
But this is like classic politician speak. Do you know what I mean?
She's saying
like,
nothing. She's rattling on.
Actually giving us an economic program of what they're going to do.
Like a breakdown.
Yeah, all they do, it's just the usual. It's all this. See, if you take any politician speech, it's all just appeals to emotion and stuff like that. And it's all vague statements that could mean almost anything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? See, if I say I'm fighting for social justice, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Like, what does that? Do you know? See,
I'm
I said
scared.
to you,
I don't
I'm
know.
fighting for social justice. Could you
I
tell
imagine
me concretely what I'm doing?
You're out there in a spandex sort of suit of some kind, and you have social justice is like your
social
emblem.
Justice man.
Social justice man, and you kind of go around doing things like the Robin Hooders in Keane. You know, you go around.
But except I get to wear a cool costume.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like a local thing. And when you like go by in your suit, people go, "Who the fuck's that?" And they go, "Ah, it's just social justice, man."
Let's see if I
He's
can
out
return
again.
to the politics of the situation.
Can I just raise my hand and make one more point?
Go for it. Only if it's serious.
It is serious. It's about the fact that Nicola Sturgeon, as the First Minister, a lot of people are making noise about the fact that she has female genitalia, which is awesome. Well done. I'm just saying that somebody who I really respect, Emma Goldman.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not
19th century anarchist.
Yes, she is.
Although she was an anarcho-socialist.
She was.
But
I'm saying
I do believe she was not happy when she actually saw the Soviet Union.
Yeah, she was quite unimpressed. I think that
preferred America
it depressed her quite immensely. Yeah. But I'm just going to say, in Anarchism and Other Essays by Emma Goldman,
which you can get for free on Kindle, by the way. So you should.
And also on LibriVox, it's on audiobook.
Yeah, it's a free, LibriVox.org. There's a
which
free
is on
version.
It's on our resources page.
It is, yes.
LibriVox. So you can go there and get this. Emma Goldman, I really, really respect her. And she did a chapter called Patriotism, A Menace to Liberty. And I think it's in that part where she talks, oh no, wait, it's in a different part. I do apologize. I can't remember exactly which chapter.
Is it not specifically dealing with women? We will link it up, but like...
I'm going to link it up, but basically she says it doesn't matter what the sex of the person in charge is. It's this establishment. It's that authoritarian power.
Yeah, because what she does is she lists some countries at the time that
were under a
I think it was actually, what it was like female suffrage she was talking about and stuff, you know.
That's it. It was the one on suffrage.
And she was saying in places where women have the vote or women can get in parliament, like nothing's any different.
It's not any better.
It's not getting different people in. It's like, see these people and you see it all the time and they're like, well, we just need to get the right people in. The right people don't get in and they never will.
And then they go, we have to go with these people.
They'll just get turned as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not about that. It's about the institution. You're sort of missing the point there.
Yeah.
And you know these things as well where they say, oh, we should have so many percentage of women in parliament. Right. See that? If I was a woman, I'd personally be offended by that because I'd be sitting in there thinking, I've only got this job because of my genitalia, not based on my merit. Surely it should be based on merit.
Yeah, I know.
And people say, oh, merit's hard to enforce. Well, then let's just abolish politics. You know what I mean? I've got an answer for that too.
I know. But I think it's important to say that, you know, it's incredibly true. It doesn't change a thing. Whether you have a woman in charge or a man in charge. This country went through, I say this country, the United Kingdom.
As a whole.
Margaret Thatcher.
You collectivist, you. Go collectivise somewhere.
It's just Margaret Thatcher, Dan. The Thatcher years, that didn't do great things for Britain. I'm not saying it was all.
I mean, a lot of the economic reform was necessary, but
Yes.
there was a lot of like unnecessary cruelty and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Margaret Thatcher cannot be considered some kind of feminist anyway, because she had the total queen bee syndrome, because when she worked in a cabinet full of men, she got to the top and then pulled the ladder up behind her and left all the other women down.
Yeah, I know.
That's essentially what happened.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that because we were talking about the First Minister there. I thought it was worth it to sort of say that I'm not really down with the whole Nicola Sturgeon SNP First Minister.
The thing. See, this is what kind of troubles me, right? It's because the Scottish independence thing had everyone kind of whipped up, right?
Oh, in a frenzy.
And then all these people ran out to join the SNP, right? The SNPs, I know we talked about throwing terms around, right? But they have a lot of socialistic policies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just need to look through their manifesto, and I've written articles going through it, on our website under the Dan's rating
free
section.
This, free that, free childcare, free.
No, absolutely. And then, there's that's the thing. They're completely left wing. And there's no denying that at all. And this is just what I want to kind of hammer into people. I want to be like, we could go independent, right? But we don't need to follow the SNP into hell over it. Do you know what I mean?
I think though people probably
because
view
they're
it.
the only party, the big party that are championing it. But then who are the other two parties championing it? The Scottish Socialist Party and the Scottish Green Party. That's why it's such a crazy left wing phenomenon, this whole thing in Scotland.
I know. But I'm
surrounded by socialists.
It's just that.
They're everywhere.
Status. No, you know what? It's the reality that we live under. So we just have to find our ways. We were talking about this earlier, actually, sort of, you don't necessarily have to be, happy with the way that things are, but there is a certain level of acceptance you do have to have about the reality of where you are. Mm-hmm. Like, I have beliefs, but I certainly abide by most rules, especially outside socially, because I don't want to get arrested. I don't. I mean,
no, God, no.
I love my freedom. Why would I want it to be taken away? Which is why I sort of, when I see...
But I think you're more use out here than you are in some kind of prison.
That's what I mean.
Prisons in Scotland are mental.
I don't want to be in like Berlin or whatever. I don't fancy it. I don't think I'd fare well. I don't think I'd do okay.
Don't you love when people say to you like, "Oh, he's as slow as a week in the jail."
Oh gosh, that's funny. That is good banter. I like that.
That's nice. That's nice podcast banter.
That's nice. That is.
Monster Raving Loony Party.
Okay.
2005 was an interesting year for them. They actually, some years it's only like 1987's is like their whole manifesto's like half a page long.
Somebody couldn't be arsed that year.
Yeah, it's like they weren't that interested, but then like some years they got really into it, and then sometimes they just didn't care. Like, bright pupils will be provided with dimmer switches to prevent them distracting the rest of the class.
Now that brings up something pretty deep. Remember we were talking about this story?
Yeah.
It was a Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, it's a Kurt Vonnegut short story called Harrison Bergeron.
Uh-huh.
And it's sort of poking fun at the idea of egalitarianism. Uh-huh. It's like there's like a great ballet dancer and she's made to wear weights, and
on her feet, so she can't be a big deal.
And basically what for me I took out of that was egalitarianism, instead of raising us all up, all it does is it drags us all down.
I refer people to Anthem.
Oh, by Ayn Rand.
By Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Rand.
No, she wanted a state.
No, I mean, I'm not, it's not even that. But the book Anthem, it's a short book. Again, audiobook on LibriVox.org on our resources page.
Mm-hmm.
And
sounds like we're sponsored.
Or you could get it. I know, but
I love LibriVox.
I assure you we're not. I would be happy to be, but I assure you we are not. You can also get it online, a hard copy. So, continue, Dan.
Absolutely. Continue as if I had like some kind of
great massive point to make. Yes, go.
Relocation of the Houses of Parliament. Again, Monster Raving Loony Party 2005 General Election Manifesto. The Houses of Parliament will be demolished and replaced by a mobile parliament. This will allow MPs to be picked up in the mornings if their cars won't start. It will also allow the public to see Parliament at work, and members will be able to wave to the public as it is going along. It will also cut out any necessity to have regional assemblies, as it can park up at different towns and villages throughout the year. On the old site of Parliament, a large statue of Screaming Lord Sutch will be erected, and a loony village will be built where it will be obligatory to enjoy yourself. Pogo sticks will be provided free of charge.
I love it.
It's funny, right? But do you know what it makes me think of?
Yeah.
See, since David Cameron started getting worried with the Scottish independence referendum, he started panicking,
He had an ulcer,
it was terrible.
It was a sin.
Yeah, but anyway, so then he was like, well, we'll give more powers to the Scottish Parliament.
Which apparently happened.
Well, yeah, but this is what I found interesting, though, because there was a letter, I believe it was to the Observer newspaper.
Yeah.
And it was signed by a lot of different people, and basically what it was for was massive decentralizations of power. So they were saying give local councils. I know it's still the government, but what they're saying is give local councils, say in England and stuff, Scotland and Wales have got a parliament, and Northern Ireland's got an assembly, give it more powers, over things in its jurisdiction. And then I kind of browsed through the comments, right? And I was doing it on an app on my phone, and there was a lot of kind of lefty comments. But what was interesting is the fact that now decentralisation of power, that's become an issue in the UK, where it wasn't before. Because now people are saying stuff like, we don't want Westminster to control all the power. We want to hand it out to local people. Yeah.
Because
I think that's the first, it's the first step towards getting away from a massive sort of Leviathan huge state,
Yeah, I think that cities and little country towns, everywhere is different. And I think you have to keep that in mind when you're, laying down the rules that, everywhere is a little bit different, and
it's not all the same.
It's not all uniform.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you make power sort of, I hate saying power like this. Let's put power there, but let's put power over here. I think we shouldn't have it at all. But I'm just saying, if we're going to I'll put it this way: anarchism's not exactly on the cards right now.
Look. A stateless society,
stateless society is a better way to put it. A stateless society, right now it's not on the cards, right?
Some people in the world, it might be a thing to move somewhere and have this wonderful libertarian place that you could go and you're all free. But here, no, it's not going to happen, I'm afraid.
No, well, I don't think there's anywhere that's quite like that, except in your own head, but I know what you mean.
In my mind.
Yeah,
it exists.
Yeah, see, none of this is on the cards.
No.
But at least people are now having the conversation. At least a lot of people, within the UK as a whole are saying, look, there is a problem that all the power is concentrated in that Westminster Parliament. And at least people are now recognising that, and at least this is becoming a big thing. And see if it's in the mainstream media, that means a lot of people are thinking about it, a lot of people are talking about it. And that's good, because we have to decentralise power.
Yeah. And I think maybe it is a case of just hitting that first domino and for them all to fall, because...
And just letting the momentum sort of pick up.
Because if people realise something's wrong, that might force people to go that little bit further and investigate.
Well, no, if we could just change the topic just now, right?
Why not?
Why not? Why not get into something else for the last portion of the show?
What do you want to talk about?
Well, you were talking to me about the NHS and earlier on in the week, and how you've decided to start calling it the NFS.
The NFS.
The NHS, by the way, I just want to say, for anyone who doesn't know, is the National Health Service, the Soviet-style government healthcare system.
I've said this before and I'll say it again, and Dan always gets a bit annoyed when I say it, but Dan did write an article, Is it time for voluntary NHS? I will link it up in the show notes.
Bringing out drinking game.
It's very, very good. I'm just saying it's good, and I agree with it. And the NHS, the National Health Service that we have here, we pay through our national insurance contributions in our pay.
We're basically being taxed.
Yeah, we're being quite highly taxed. And it pays in this country for healthcare and national healthcare, and the private healthcare doesn't really compete. But the National Health Service, I call the NFS, which for non-fucking-sustainable.
Well, that's the thing, because people act like it's been around forever.
Yeah, and it's not.
And it's only been around since 1948.
Yeah.
And now the thing is, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a long time. And the thing
is, just after the war, Britain needed it.
But see, this is the thing, though. Now you've got all this generation of older people, right?
Yeah.
And not as many young people.
Yeah.
So this isn't like it's happened before. Like I said, it's not been through anything like this before.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is,
it can collapse.
Of course it can. I mean, see, they keep pledging more and more money.
I know.
I believe they pledged more. George Osborne, who's the Chancellor, did in his autumn statement this week.
I read something
tomorrow. I read a leaked thing at the weekend that said that he was going to be.
I think it's like £2 billion.
I think it's 1 point something. We'll link it up.
Is it not 2 billion? Anyway, I'll try and find it. Yeah, I'll definitely link that up.
Well, that's the thing. It's not been through anything like this before.
We now have a generation of people, like Dan said, who are old and living longer because of the medicines that have been invented over the years.
And got a lower birth rate.
More people are deciding, couples like Dan and I, back in the 50s, we probably would have probably about 6 or 7 kids.
I can't remember what we
by
did
now.
in the 50s. That was so long ago.
I can't remember what we did back then. No, I'm
back
saying,
then? Oh, no. I mean,
I'm just saying,
what we did in the 60s.
I'm just saying, like, it's not been through this before. It's never been through this kind of thing before, and it cannot sustain. These things do not last forever.
I mean, like, you do have...
They really can't.
Did the welfare system or something not collapse in the 90s? In Sweden, I believe it did. Like, there was...
Did it?
Aye. That's the thing. These things... I mean, like I said, we've never had anything like this for it. Like, it's never faced a challenge that was like this.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just...
Oh, well, the question is, what's going to happen then?
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, who knows?
I have no idea. Anyway.
But a lot of people are going to... a lot of people are going to be converted to our side if it collapses probably very quickly. Well, hopefully.
I don't know if they'll let it collapse. I don't think they would let it fully collapse, to be fair. It's like an institution in this country, especially in Scotland. Scotland's really...
it's big, man. It's big. People love the NHS here.
Yeah,
people have theorised in Britain, not theorised, but said in Britain it's like the closest thing to a national religion.
The funniest thing ever is when you listen to people, especially in my line of work, complain about the NHS. They complain constantly about the NHS.
I know, oh God. Well, you complain, but in a different way. They complain that it's not how they want it to be. But
yeah,
they
they're
don't
like, why
understand
can't it be this way?
If we opened up the market.
Yeah, and I mean... I'm not going to really go into it again because it's such a frustrating subject, especially for me because I work really, really closely with it. So I think about this all day.
Right. Well, let's calm Caity down and let's
breathe.
Big breaths. It's okay. It's going to be all right. You went to see the Hunger Games, the new movie, didn't you?
Oh my God.
Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah, it was pretty
Did you like it?
I really did like it. I've been to see the last 2 films.
I didn't go with her, by the way.
No,
I wasn't
invited. You weren't, actually. I went with my friends, so whatever. I offered to take you.
I offered to take you.
I offered to take you to the movies. No, I did. I said that we could go if you wanted to, but I think we'd much prefer. I think you prefer to wait for the DVD.
No, actually, I would probably go and see it. To be fair, actually, I'm interested in.
It's an interesting piece of sort of dystopian. If anybody's not familiar, I will link up to the YouTube. You can watch the trailer for it as well as the trailer. The other 2 films are actually on Netflix.
But see why I bring it out? Like, bring it up.
Bring it up.
Like, a few weeks ago, I think a couple of weeks ago, there was cinema chains in Bangkok that cancelled screenings of it because anti-government protesters were using the 3-fingered salute.
Yeah.
And then if you take now the anonymous groups that are worldwide, regardless of what we think of whatever they, some of them say or do or whatever, but they had this million mask march.
Yeah.
And they had them in different cities, in different places.
Yeah.
And again, obviously V for Vendetta goes back to a comic book, a graphic novel.
A graphic novel.
That was written a while ago, and the movie doesn't resemble it very much. But that movie, he's wearing the mask.
Yeah.
And now they're using that. So it's interesting how when you look at culture, when culture becomes real, they take symbols from modern culture and then turn it into some kind of movement. I find that quite interesting.
Because in that film, that salute is like a respect thing. It's like what are they called? The peacekeepers or something? And if you make it, they crap out you.
Yeah, if you make it.
I have to say that this film,
I've seen the other ones, just not the new one.
Yeah, this film was obviously different from the other 2 because the other 2 there's actual games. This isn't the games. This is it's pretty messed up. It's pretty,
more about revolution.
It's pretty emotional. This one, It's all quite emotional and stuff. Jennifer Lawrence does a pretty good job. I like her.
Yeah, I just think it's so fascinating how, like, and why I think that, for example, some people, if you point out, like, if you take mass media and you point out all the little things they're putting in there, you know, if you put, you know what I mean, like, to someone they'll go, oh, you're mental, they're not trying to control your thoughts with some kind, you know what I mean, with some sort of cultural Marxist sort of mainstream media, but then if you say, like, media has no effect on people, then you can look at some movements that have been inspired by films.
Yeah. But one thing I was going to say was the other two Hunger Games films felt really libertarian. This one had a bit of a tinge to it.
Did it not feel as libertarian?
It didn't feel as libertarian because it was sort of the group that were kind of anti the establishment.
Don't spoil it for anyone.
I'm not spoiling it for anyone. I'm just saying.
I'm just worried in case you
I'm just saying the revolution. No, in a revolution, you know, you've got two sides. So the ones opposing the capital, I just felt it was a bit communistic, and like, there was a lot of themes of oneness
kind of
and collectivists, and I just felt it was sort of a more, that kind of communistic feel. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it. I recommend it. I would say go and see it if you can.
Cool.
Yeah, we've been getting some love on the donate. We've been Dan, what do we get? A little bit of Bitcoin?
Yep, we've had some Bitcoin donations. Some of the people I don't know who you are, and I'm very sorry, but like, thank you.
we do get anonymous donations.
If you donated to us and we didn't get back to you, I'm saying thanks now, because it's only because I don't know who you are, but we really do appreciate it.
We really appreciate it.
It helps us going. I mean, even if, like, you know, any amount of Bitcoin is greatly appreciated. You know, £1, $1, €1. That
we always
We'd
say that.
We're excited if anyone gives
because
us it.
we're building a studio, and we need to work on it a little bit more. It's not quite up to spec. We are trying. Like I say, like I said at the start of the show, we are trying to tinker with the machine, and then
I think what we've offered tonight is priceless, because, to be fair, that is probably the most thorough examination of Monster Raving Loony Party history in audio format.
I question.
As far as I know.
I invite anyone to prove you wrong there, Dan.
I could become their official historian.
No, they don't need one.
What do you mean they don't?
They don't want it. No, but thank you very much.
We do appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate anything. You know, like even your comments and stuff. We love it. We love that people are listening and people are interested. We
just like talking to people and getting in touch. It's nice to talk to people from all over the world. It's pretty cool, actually. You know, it's like having pen pals. If anybody remembers that concept.
Oh, that was funny, wasn't it?
I used to have a pen pal.
Did you?
I think it was through school.
Did you ever meet your pen pal?
Nah.
No.
Nah. I didn't want to.
Were you arguing like over letters?
Nah, I just didn't really.
Like, what did you say about me? And then like 2 weeks later he reads it and he was like, what was that?
How dare you? It's the longest argument ever. I'd actually like to do that. I'd like to, if anybody wants to be my pen pal, could you let me know? Because that would be hilarious.
Especially if you want to argue with her over written letters.
Especially if, we could like argue over, I'd have to sort out a P.O. box though. You're not getting to know where I live. Okay, I have far too much to do, so maybe at some point, if anybody actually does want to be maybe a pen pal, that would be pretty cool. We could like play, what was that game where you write something, then you fold it over, and then you write something else? It's like how you write a story, but everybody writes a line. Oh yeah, like everyone, it's like, was it not called, oh god, it's a cool name, but I can't remember. I believe it was like, you used to get a lot of writers that played that game, and they'd all write a sentence, and then like fold it over, and then another sentence, and fold it over, and then they would read it out when it's done. And like, I know obviously it's one of the things where some people play it with children and stuff for fun, but there was actually, I remember reading about like writers that played this game, you know, that come up with experimental styles and stuff. It builds your vocabulary as well when you're younger, maybe to play stuff like that, probably. See, I'm quite into like I really like experimental writing. I know. You like some weird stuff like that I don't like. Burroughs and stuff like that. Yeah. William Burroughs is an incredibly experimental writer, but really, I loved it. I know you're quite into the old experimental writing. I remember you going through when you were reading all your beat writers.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, see the beat writers of the 50s, like if I can say people like Jack Kerouac and, William Burroughs is considered one of them. People consider Allen Ginsberg the poet like that. Yeah. What's funny is Charles Bukowski wasn't considered one of the beat writers, but he did write in a kind of similar form.
Yeah.
To them, I can see a lot
his
of
writing had,
and it was about the same period, but he's not considered one of the beat writers. I mean, Jack Kerouac is considered the same as the foremost beat writer.
Yeah,
and On the Road get made into a film. I haven't actually seen it yet. I know it's pretty recent.
Kristen Stewart from the Twilighty movies.
See, I haven't actually seen the film version, but see, for me, my favourite book of his was the Dharma Bums, and that was
I remember you telling me
about Dharma Bums. I know with my Scottish accent it might sound like that.
Dharma Bums.
Yeah, it's a great book, man. Fascinating
That's
stuff.
pretty cool.
So we were trying to wrap up then.
Sorry, that was a really self-indulgent little tangent there, but
the whole show is self-indulgent. Who cares?
Most things that feel good are pretty self-indulgent.
Well.
This is all about me.
But see, we could end on something the Monster Raving Loony Party put in their 2005 general election manifesto. All weapons of mass destruction will be made highly visible so that we can find them.
Oh,
2005.
That is a loaded statement there, my friend.
Yep.
That's awesome. So, for more libertarian podcast writings and news, please visit greeningoutpodcast.co.uk.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you and good night.